I've got some serious cameras going on.
Make sure I'm up the right way as well. I have a habit of.
For a few people here, Jamie Stenhouse, how are we going?
I'm doing well.
Very good. All right, guys, welcome to Collaborative Conversations Live. We're joined with Mr. Jamie Stenhouse here. Michelle, how you going? Just joined. We're going to talk a little bit today. When was the last time we caught up? I think it's been a couple of months since we've actually seen each other.
Yeah, well, last thing we filmed was like, not even
Mike, how we going, buddy?
It was like September,
August?
Yeah. Properly? Yeah.
So what's been happening since?
Working away, traveling.
Working away as always, yes.
Working, just getting my head more down in the trenches now and trying to really use my time properly.
Yeah.
As opposed to just playing about, I think.
Absolutely.
That's the way I feel that I am executing it now.
So where do you see you are this year versus last year in terms of getting started?
More conscious of my time and my energy, and just being conscious that like everything counts. So like if you sleep in, it's going to have an impact. If you eat crappy food, it's going to have an impact. Or if I choose to not answer emails before 2 p.m, then that will have, you know, a positive impact as well. So just being conscious that everything really has an impact.
Yeah,
it does matter.
Well, one of the big things that Jamie and I started tackling was sort of last year for myself, early last year, and then a little bit sooner for Jamie, was certainly the fears that we had moving forward as individuals, and how that sort of interfered with our career and our personal life, and how we needed to grow into the people we needed to be in order to push ourselves out there to the world. And so my fear was obviously getting in front of the camera, which terrified the hell out of me less than 12 months ago.
Less than that.
Less than 12 months? Or somewhere around there, a little over that.
Yeah.
My whole life, pretty much. And Jamie's the one who inspired me to actually, get in front of the camera. Chris, how we going there, buddy? And actually start joining or getting out there and started to push what I'm passionate about. And so, but for the audience watching at home, Jamie, tell them a little bit about your fear.
Speaking in general,
yes.
And it wasn't even, I don't know fear, because fear at the time when I had that, at the time, fear was something that I could have overcame. So at the time, it didn't feel like a fear. It just felt like, I won't ever speak.
So a full limitation.
As opposed to a fear in being the concept that I could have overcome that with practice and that. So at the time, from as young as 4 until the age of 21, 22, it was like, I'm going to avoid as many speaking scenarios as possible.
Yep.
And then just for I guess practice and leading into the obstacle, it slowly overcame itself.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing that people have asked me as well, is how do I overcome my fear? How do I get over what's truly holding me back as an individual? And that's something we've both certainly had to face, which was terrifying, or as Jamie said, very limiting to our actual progression, because we allowed that to truly hold us back from where we are. And I know so many people watching this and that are going to watch this have your own fears and things that are actually holding you guys back that you might not necessarily want to talk to people about, or you think that you're the only person going through that.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
When I still have it. That's interesting that I said when I was heavily contained in my own fear and sort of scarcity that I couldn't ever get over, I literally thought I was the only one. That no one else had this, no one else knew what it was like, no one else knew how to handle it. And then I went to a course in 2013 called the Hawaii program, where they teach you how to be a more eloquent speaker. And there was 40 of us in there. I was like, oh my God, there's other people like me. There's
other people
like
issues?
me.
Wow, can you believe it?
It blew me away. I was like, this is insane. And it really puts your problems into perspective as well, is if you can find other people who share the same fears as you.
Yes. And that's such a great point, isn't it? Because we're all living in a little fear bubble, thinking that we're the only person with these things wrong with us. And it's when we actually start to, face that fear and go, look, I'm gonna overcome this. I'm going to, tackle it head on and truly be the best version of myself. And when you start to have that confidence or start to see that glimmer of light, it's when you start to see other people that are very similar to you. and you realise that you're not so alone in this world.
100%. And then you also have the insight of being able to ask that community or those friends, questions about your fear, because everyone's learned little tricks or hacks to, somewhat overcome it from time to time. So I found that inside that course with the 40 or more other people in there, I learned little tricks. I learned how to address my fear. I learned how to overcome certain scenarios from those other people, but those were tools that I would not have learned on my own. No way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think it's when you're held down from your fear, you don't want to talk to anyone about it per se, but that's usually where you begin to get the answers from.
Yeah, and that's so true, because it's so scary, because it's something that we built up in our head for such a long time, that there's something wrong with us, and it's just this terrifying thing to actually go to anyone and ask for help.
And to also admit that that's a problem. Because most times when I was a teenager, I was like, no, it's fine, I don't care, no, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It is the only deal.
Yeah,
and then after, I think the first principle we learned in that speaking course was to address it, to admit it. And if you look through my interviews from 2013 to 2014, 2015, I always begin by saying, I have a speaking problem, I might get caught. And that countered the fear, that got rid of a lot of the tension and the pressure of just being aware that it's there, as opposed to trying to hide from it, because it's usually the fear of the fear that we
the fear of the fear.
Yeah,
No, that's absolutely right. And that's an incredible thing that I started to realise, and one of the main things with Jamie obviously encouraging me to come out of my shell as well, was that what was the fear? It was the fear of everything, that I thought people would say or do, and more than anything was in my own head. But that's what I learned last year, was how many people had their own individual issues. And it could be something as simple as some people swimming, some people putting themselves on a dating site. These are some individuals that contacted us last year and telling us about their fears. And it could be the smallest things to us, listening to their fears, for example, thinking that's not that big of a deal. But to these people, it's and to us, when it was the fear that was holding us back, was something that was crippling at the time and terrifying to actually confront and overcome. And so we want to really start having this conversation about this and start to put our fears on the table, as much as that subject terrifies anyone to actually admit there's anything wrong with them. And a great thing you just said then was that one thing people see with me is they see this big bearded guy and they think, oh, well, he's not scared, he's not like terrified of meeting new people, terrified of getting in front of the camera in the past, not anymore. But
how many cameras do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
You've got to keep, this one.
Very
I need to count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. And so we want to start to have this conversation with everyone and start encouraging people to start facing their fears. And I think that's a really important part moving forward.
So you're, I guess, not your turning point, but I recall I was in the office here, I think it was January, and you sent me a text and you were driving in and you're like, let's do a live.
Let's do it, yeah.
What triggered that?
Yeah, that was that moment when, when anything in life, right, when we really start to realise that it's up to me to be the best version of myself, and we're just so sick of our own, bullshit, our excuses, where we truly realise that it's up to us now to step up and actually overcome that, because we're so sick, and that's the point of all of us, right? The time when we truly make a difference, when we step up to be the best version of ourselves, is when we've had enough of our own shit, enough of our own excuses of saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll face it tomorrow, I'll talk about it tomorrow. And that is really something that we need to start to get in people, is that self-confidence to say, fuck it, I'm going to start tackling this. And that day was a day where I said, fuck it, we're going to do this, we're going to do a live, we're going to get in front of camera, and we're going to start to talk about our story and hopefully inspire them to do the same.
And I think it was on a Friday night.
Yeah.
It was, and the response was great. The world didn't end after that as well. And I think in just overcoming your fear, in terms of just executing the thing that you're afraid of and the thing that you are putting off, once you go onto the other side of that, you're still alive. Like, the world hasn't ended. And it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Like, I'm a little bit sweaty, probably, a little bit terrified still, but I didn't, nothing really dramatic happened as well.
Absolutely.
And I don't think you will learn that until you begin to push against those obstacles and against those fears as well.
No, absolutely. And that's where we're all hiding behind, is because we truly think that fear is so debilitating that we're not going to be able to get past it. And I think we've all been in a situation in life where we've actually confronted something that's terrified us, and then we thought to ourselves, well, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
We played it up in our minds.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something pretty small and insignificant, for the most part. But when we're really talking about things that hold us back as individuals, and whether that's, you don't think you're good looking enough, or you don't think you come from the right, family, or that you're smart enough, or that you've got enough talent,
creative, whatever it is.
Whatever it is for you, and this is something that we need to teach each other and talk about as individuals, is how do we have this conversation with each other? How do we allow all of us to talk about our fears and the things holding us back, without
help each other out
without feeling, uncomfortable in having that conversation, because as we've said before, no one wants to feel weak or like a victim. We don't want to feel less than, but it's important that we, in order for us to progress past this fear, that we do find the strength to talk about it and confront it.
People have to help themselves more so than ask for help. In terms of, I think most people would agree they would prefer to read an article about their fear as opposed to ask their closest friend about it.
I agree with that.
Self-help is too much introverted on the individual as opposed to a community.
So absolutely, but self-confidence, of course, comes from self, and it's so important that we start to have these conversations where people start to look at us, for example, or people around them, see people that have had setbacks, issues, fears, and see them overcoming it, and then truly realise within themselves that, hey, I can do this myself, and I can confront this, and I can be everything that I want to be in this world because I've actually pushed myself to overcome it.
Exactly, exactly. For me personally, and I was having this talk to a friend the other night, and he was saying that my speech has improved so much.
We've got,
Isaiah
has just joined. Isaiah, special welcome there. Give us some love, hit a like if we know you're watching there, guys. We'll see who's going on. Hayley, how we going? Karen, we got Rex, how we doing?
Awesome.
Very good, very good. Continue.
So I had a friend who was saying that my speech had improved quite a lot, and I was like, thank you very much, that's great to hear. But then part of me was like, now that I've learned to play with the fear, and I've learned to embrace the obstacle, and I've been conscious that it makes me who I am, would I ever want to permanently lose that fear or permanently lose that obstacle? And part of me was like, not really, because it makes me who I am. And I think our fears craft us to be the person that we are, and they push us to become the person that we should become as well, because you go through your growth, your self-growth, your self-doubt, all of that. So it's almost being grateful for your fears in the sense that they're going to push you if you allow them to. Either forward or backward.
And that's a great point, because there's so many times in my life where there's things where I haven't wanted to talk about having a disability growing up. I never had trouble fitting in, but I certainly was, because I had a lot of self-confidence, but it was still there, and it was still something I thought behind the scenes. And so it's one of those things where you just want to fit in, and you don't, you think, I just want to be normal. Like, I just want to be like everyone else. That's what most of us think. We just want to fit in. We don't want to stand out. We don't want to be different to everyone else. And so when we really realise that setback is something that actually builds character and builds strength and will actually grow us into be the great individual that we can be, I can't say that Jamie and I would be sitting here in the same capacity as the individuals we are without actually having these setbacks that we've had, or these challenges, and overcoming them.
100%. There's a really good book I love, which you've heard me rant on about 100 times, I swear. Obstacle is the Way. Phenomenal book that goes a lot into that topic, and pretty much the title is the answer, right? Where the things we avoid are usually the things we should be doing. And I think fear can serve as a great compass for that, in terms of if you feel lost or you're not sure what you should be working on, it's usually the things you're putting off or the thing you are most fearful of as well. So for me, speaking in terms of getting in front of crowds and doing vlogs and interviews, that was a very big quantum leap in terms of my growth and my company as well. And every time I've leaned into that fear, things have gotten scarier, but I've achieved more, and then I was more happier, and my health was more on point. And it's kind of like the lowest common denominator is, I think, usually your greatest fear. So if you can increase that, then usually everything else will increase too.
Absolutely, and I love that because, you know, it's when I started tackling my fear, and when I actually, you know, for the first time I started to have success, when I started to actually confront it, that's when I truly felt, you know, wow, this wasn't as big a deal as I thought. And for the first time where I've been hiding away from the world, I thought, now it's time to actually begin my life. I really did. I honestly thought now it's a weight off your shoulders, and it's like, now it's time for me to actually live.
Yeah, because you suddenly see that what was closed off or what you thought was impossible is now a part of you and something you can embrace and utilize and enjoy without having to be concerned of the consequences or of the fear that's holding you back.
Absolutely. And so, you know, once you've actually tackled that fear, one of the biggest things that, you know, you need to then is confront all your excuses. And so obviously you've overcome this, but it's that habit we need to form, and it's the routine every day that we keep instilling that confidence so we continue to grow. And as much, you know, whether it's like hitting the gym, for example, and obviously, you know, you're training hard and you're working on yourself as an individual, when you stop going, you start to lose the muscle mass and you start to, you know, lose the progress that you've made. And so once an individual's tackled that fear, once they've progressed past it, what sort of advice would you give for them?
I think don't stop. I think the second you begin to slip up or you take an afternoon off or you make an excuse, it's a slippery slope all the way down. And it's almost as if you just need to keep pushing that rock up the hill, because as soon as you stop, that's when it gets really, really hard as well. For me, the times where I've slacked off, it was generally because the things I was trying to achieve were easy or were a habit for me, so I didn't treat them as an important task. For example, if I'm on point with my training and I'm training 4 to 6 times every week, I'm like, oh, this is easy. I don't need to plan it. I don't need to make sure I'm there on time. I'll just do it as I always have. And then that one time where I slip up is because I wasn't aware of it, or because I didn't do the exact same habits. Because I thought I had the habits automatically, that's where I slip up. So I think if it becomes too easy, you should be aware that there might be a slip up about to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a great point, isn't it? Because every time that I started to lose momentum as an individual, and I'm a reasonably driven person, is when I haven't clearly planned out what I'm trying to achieve and I haven't repeated that on a daily basis. And a lot of love going on over there from Isaiah. Rebecca's joined over there. Rebecca, how you doing? Yeah, you're getting a lot of thumbs up over there. One guy really like it. It's the routine, and that's one of the fundamental things that a successful individual needs to really set for themselves is the daily routine, and really, you know, making sure that they're actually ticking off that list and building that confidence on a daily basis so that they're achieving their goals.
Exactly. I mean, I think if you don't have a routine or at least a to-do list of things you have to hit every single day, then it's going to be near impossible to trust yourself to do it. And I think to some degree you need to know who you are as a person as well, and know where you slack off. So for me, I know that I can't be trusted with food. As a surprise to everyone out there, is I'm a huge sweet tooth. Huge. So what I did years ago is I eliminated the thought process of trying to plan and cook my meals, and then I didn't allow myself any choice. I removed complete free choice of the food I eat, and I've been eating pre-cooked meals for the last 2.5 years now, and it's worked great. But I only encountered that because I knew myself, and I knew that I couldn't be trusted to eat clean, despite how committed I was, and despite how hard I was, you know, training and then planning. I was like, the one thing that keeps slipping up is my free choice. And I think for me personally, when I remove my actual free choice and put in habits and plans and fail safes in play, where if I did slip up, at least I had that there, then that's when I begun to really progress.
That's a great point, is really, that accountability, because it's you know, so often we're trying to achieve something, we're trying to strive for something. Jamie's popped out of the session. So often when we're actually, I was going to say it's getting dark in here. So often when we're trying to actually achieve something and strive for something, it's so easy to actually get caught off. And whether it's be fitness, and all of a sudden we're on a holiday and we have a cheat meal, and then it turns into I'm eating all you can eat at Pizza Hut because the pasta is delicious. These things can really get
Is that a plug for Pizza Hut?
Damn right. But actually, all you can eat's coming back. You know that. Great. But these are the sorts of things that actually, we need to have accountability sort of things in place to actually make sure that we can check on all of this stuff.
And knowing yourself as well. Like, I know that if I train in the morning, I'm not going to come into the office and work because I'll be exhausted and wrecked.
Oh, you're a night trainer. Yeah.
And I know that.
Okay.
And I know that if I get home and then go to the gym afterwards, it's not going to happen. Right, so for me, I always train in town before I go home. I can't trust myself to head home first and then head out to the gym again. And so it's just being true, like just telling yourself the truth, as opposed to going, oh, we'll just do it after I get home, or like knowing yourself and knowing your flaws and playing against those as much as you can, and trying to remove as much free choice or as many variables as you can, really helped out me on my own, journey of growth.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's understanding. You've got some questions there, so we'll jump on a second, but it's really really important to understand that as we grow, as well as we actually do get older, that we do adapt to our bodies and our mindset, because exactly to your point about not training in the morning, I'm very much because I have a physical job, and as I'm getting a little bit older now, if I hit the hay at like 10:30 to have a nap, and then because I used to do a lot of late night sessions personally, I'm wrecked. Like, I'm done. I don't want to get back up, but I'll happily get up at 5 a.m. So it's really
you know yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just from trial and error. Like, there's so many articles and tutorials about how to achieve a certain objective or a certain goal, but you just got to try and see what works, and then see where you keep slipping up. Like, if it keeps happening more than twice, and maybe that's something you need to address.
Well, that's a great point, because so many people are reading so many self-help books and all the information that we're bombarded with on a daily basis through self-development, and we're starting to just apply that to our life without actually really filtering it to what's suited to us. And so there's some really successful people, obviously, that we're all consuming on social media, and the truth is they are very high-performing freaks. They're very good at what they do,
and they only share the things that are shareable. So
exactly right.
We don't see the everyday admin tasks, if they are doing any, or we don't see the times when they do slip up really, really bad. Only the times they slip up where it can be used on social media. Right?
It's a very edited lifestyle.
Yeah.
And these are really why these conversations are important, to sort of take a peek behind the curtain, if you will, and really see the flaws of every individual.
So what are you working on for yourself? And how?
Oh, biggest thing for me is my excuses that I've made this year. So, I've conquered my fears as such, but it's about the accountability and putting the accountability systems in place to actually tackle now my excuses. And I think it's a two-part thing, right? We have the fears that hold us back, and once we truly can overcome them and tackle them, then it all comes down to excuse. It's really, are we going to get up early? Are we going to train? Are we going to stay back and work harder? Are we going to learn, read more? Whatever it is for us as an individual, is the excuse of, am I good enough to actually overcome this? Am I good enough to be better than this? And these are the conversations and the battles that we have within our own mind of each and every day. And it's whether we actually can overcome them, that we eliminate the excuse, or whether we actually hold on to them and the excuse owns us.
I think you would agree as well, is that a lot of us know what to do. A lot of us
we know, but doing.
That's what's interesting. And what's interesting about is excuses is that I think what's the reason why you want to do that thing, or what's the reason why you want that goal, because that's going to drive you for the excuses, right? Like, if you have a project that you don't like to do, but suddenly it's due in 12 hours, you'll see yourself push through it, but you had all this time prior to do it, but you had those excuses, but now suddenly the actual importance of that outweighs the excuses. So like, why are your objectives, your goals
It's-
important? And that's, and I think everyone needs to find that reason and just lean into that more so than just the good planning or the good to-do list. I think you need a strong reason why first.
I agree, but I also think it's important for everyone watching and might not be clear on their purpose or always have the confidence or understand how they're meant to progress and what is this fly doing, and actually understand how they're meant to progress every day. It's, you know, through actually searching for purpose that we tend to find it. You know, it's so many times where, you know, I started a business and then I started networking and I started growing as an individual and I started finding my passion to help entrepreneurs, and this is where I started to grow into who I truly can be, and this is where I'm continuing to grow into who I can be. And it was through actually just figuring it out along the way. So there's this real narrative.
Figuring out along the way.
Yeah. Because there's this narrative that's really being pushed this day and age that find your purpose, only do what you love every single day. But the truth is that not everyone knows their purpose, and not everyone knows what they're going to do every day, and not everyone wants to do even what they're passionate about every single day. It's okay to admit that, hey man, I don't want to fucking go to the gym. I don't want to work that extra hour. I don't want to read. I don't want to study. I don't want to do that. Like, that's the reality of life. And going back to our point before about the edited, successful people that we see, that's the stuff that you don't see. And so that's the really important part, is that when we can show the nitty gritty of it, like normal people, we kind of hate a lot of the shit we do on a daily basis, but we understand that it's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's Muhammad Ali, for example, said that I hated every minute of training. Every minute.
Yeah.
But he fucking loved being a winner.
Yeah. I don't like training.
No.
You're sweaty, it hurts.
Exactly.
But like afterwards you feel good because you push through that resistance as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's half of the enjoyment is, as corny as it sounds and as cliche, it's kind of like, it's like half of the enjoyment is the journey and pushing against something that is hard or pushing against something that you don't enjoy.
Yep.
And I think when you get to the end, obviously you would like the goal and the outcome, but it's sort of like the journey which really makes it a lot more enjoyable as well.
Do you want to open it up to some questions, guys? Have we got any questions?
Here we go.
You had some stuff here.
What tools do you use to push past your excuses?
Rebecca, good question.
Rebecca, do you want to take that one first, or
What tools do you use? You start with that one.
me?
Yeah,
I'll
go
start
for
with it.
it. Yeah.
Tools I use to my excuses is I usually ask myself I usually frame the excuse 2 or 3 times, and then I ask, is this true? Like, am I actually really tired? It's like, yeah, it's like really? Like, I had 6 to 8 hours sleep, okay, like I've eaten well, okay, I'm not, okay, maybe I'm not tired. Like, and just pausing and asking yourself 2 or 3 times, is this true? Like, is this actual truth, or is there impulse reaction that I want to sleep in, and that I do not want to go to the gym, or that I don't want to get up at 4:30? Like, is it the actual truth? And then if it is the truth by some rare case, I then go, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario if I go against it anyway? Well, I'm a little bit sleepy today. It's not that big of a deal, and that usually helps me to push through a lot of the problems and obstacles.
Yeah, Rebecca, it's an interesting question, and it really is sort of suited to the individual, and it goes back to what we were talking about before about that editing the information and the self-development books, and I know you're heavily investing in self-development yourself right now and growing as an individual, which is amazing to see. I've seen a lot of your stuff on social recently, and you know, when we all start to go through that and really grow, we start to really be bombarded with this information, and then so we sort of, you know, try and fit that into our own life and go, well does this work for me, or does that work? And it's all of it's storytelling, and all of it's taking little pieces of all of it and actually putting, you know, our own blueprint together. And so, you know, with me, for example, with my excuses, mine more than anything is my mental state. It's honestly how I feel. I beat myself up all the time because I don't think what I'm doing is good enough, or that I'm not trying hard enough. And so, you know, the tools that I use are really to talk to myself. And one prime example right here today is, you know, doing this live, is because I need to talk. Like, and it's not because I need to be heard, but it's because I as an individual need to voice what's going through my head, and I find that articulates my message clearer to me, and it gives me real clarity, and it allows me to grow. And so what I find is that you can do that through written form, audio form, visual form, or you can just start to talk to your friends, your family. Just start talking, start voicing what's going on in your head, start articulating
100%.
it. And with that clarity comes that real gain of momentum of, okay, this is what suits me and this is what I want as an individual, and that's how you find your path gets a lot clearer.
What? Oh, do you have a question? I've got more.
Oh yeah, Isaiah, who's going crazy on the likes. He's really excited. What gets you fired up, Jamie? From
what gets me fired up is something I don't want to do.
Okay.
Like if I see a hill and I don't want to climb it,
I'll climb that hill.
Like honestly, I'm like, I wonder how it would feel, or I wonder how it would look for me to go against something I don't want to do, and I wonder how that would feel. And I just lean into it, and I'm honestly embracing it more and more. But just something that's hard is generally what I like, as opposed to something that's easy. And I think because it challenges me, it makes me present. Like something which is hard, which is not automated, where I can just breeze through it, makes me present. So I'm constantly, what fires me up is if it's hard to do, or if it's new, or if it's a challenge. That, as much as I don't enjoy that, I'm like, okay, let's see if my training, or my experience, or my history actually plays a part here. So that's one of the things that gets me fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that because I mean, like Jamie's obviously heavily into martial arts. For those who don't know, and I was. You are right. No. and I was many years ago, and one of those things, especially with training, and I think we've got Rebecca's still here. Obviously, Rebecca doing her boxing and things like that. Martial arts or any kind of fitness really is that mental sort of adversity. You've got to push through it, and especially when we're rolling or when we're doing stand up or whatever, it's something you think you couldn't do.
100%.
And I find that so many people work out because of obviously the feeling that of success they get after doing something they didn't think they could achieve, and it's almost a great way to get you started on a process of building confidence is just to exercise.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
And to overcome that internal self-talk, like if you have an actual training program and you're like, I can do 8 of those, but you're like, maybe I could do 8 of those. And by just trying it and going against the self-talk and pushing through one more, like another half a minute on the ground, and that is what fires me up.
So many exactly. Whether it's you can do that extra 30 seconds doing a plank after you've just done a 2-hour training session. You don't think you can, but you do it. And then that's when you start to build the confidence, you build the strength and momentum, etc.
So that's what fires me up is looking for the next hill to climb.
The next hill to climb. Love it. Let's go.
Ooh, how do you push past distractions, checking emails, sifting through all the junk, checking your business posts and Facebook? So that's from Desi.
Desi.
Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah.
First.
How do you push the past distractions, checking emails, sifting through all the junk, checking your business? I mean, Desi, it comes down to being clear on your priorities. Every night, and this is exactly what you need to do. So, but it's got to suit you, like we talked about before. Make sure that whatever advice we're giving you is adaptable to you as an individual.
Try it. And then,
try it. I would highly recommend that every single night before you go to bed, that you're actually writing out your goals. Okay? Some of the biggest goals you personally have as an individual in your life that you're trying to achieve, and then probably 3 to 5 goals that you're trying to achieve the next day. So when you actually wake up every day, you've gone to sleep with the mindset of these are the goals I'm trying to achieve. You wake up in the morning and you also write out those same goals again. So you're actually training your mind to actually, prioritize what's truly important to you as an individual. And then those, low priority tasks such as sifting through all the junk really shouldn't be something that you'll need to do because you've actually, told your brain and you've actually moved the momentum of, hey, this is what's important to me today. This is what I'm truly going to achieve. there's a whole range of things we could go into that, but that is the quickest and easiest way, is to prioritise your day the night before and the morning of, and then you truly have a clear path. And so even if you're late, or there's no coffee, or you burn your toast, or the car won't start, any of these sorts of little issues that sort of occur throughout the day, because you've got really clear on what you're trying to achieve in this time that you have, as much as they will annoy you and frustrate you, they will have less of an impact because you're clear on what you need to do.
Excellent. That, spot on. And also being aware of what is causing the distraction. So like, what is causing you to open up your emails or to go to your Facebook page and to see what's going on. So for me, if I've got free time, or I've got time in between client meetings or emails or anything like that, that's when the time isn't being used properly. So find out what's causing you to get distracted initially. So in taking on to your point, if you have a clear outcome of something that you want to achieve that morning, that afternoon, and you're pushing through it, then you shouldn't get distracted usually. But these something happens before you get distracted. Maybe someone walks into the office, maybe someone tweets you or something, so that kind of throws you off, right? So for me, my phone's usually off all day. Like, I don't have my emails on my screen. Like, I don't have anything that I know that I'll get sidetracked on, because I know that I can't be trusted. You know?
Yes, and I was just rereading that point there. Is obviously you start checking your business posts on Facebook, and then you start liking things. So you're very aware that you actually have either a short attention span or you like shiny things. I'm the same.
100%.
So and that's how Facebook and everything's designed. It's designed to capture attention. So if you have that lack of ability to control yourself currently, then you need to eliminate or designate an hour solely of Facebook time, or 45 minutes, whatever it needs to be for you. Jump on, set a timer, actually check things, maybe like some cat videos along the way, whatever it is you want to do to get it out of your system. But when that timer goes off, close it and close it for the rest of the day until it's personal time again.
One thing that she also said just now is checking if I have client inquiries, supply emails. What I would do is set up your email so then they only show those.
I was going to say those.
So like they only show those emails. Like, I get so many emails per day, but like the top half of my actual screen is like client emails, and that's it. So like that's all I check and see and read. Yeah. And then I know that as soon as I scroll below that fold, that's when I get distracted.
Pauline, how are we?
With like other campaigns and other things as well. So sort out your email so it only shows the most important client prospect emails from your contact form or from your suppliers first.
Yeah, and that's pretty you can Google that if obviously you're not aware how to do that, but a lot of people do obviously set up multiple sort of inboxes that flag different emails coming through, and then so that can prioritise it to obviously the inquiries, the supply emails, etc., to make it a lot easier.
Do you want to take another question?
We'll go one more.
Yours?
Yeah. No, we just got everyone watching. Any more questions you got here, guys, while you got the time on mine?
Do you have some more on yours or not?
No, not
okay, cool. Here's one for you. Have you ever had to deal with... No, I haven't.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going with that question, Robert, but yeah.
I saw some more questions as well before. Let me just refresh this. I think Isaiah wanted to know what books we're reading. Here we go. What,
guys, any more questions on obviously fear, excuses or habits while you have us here, guys? Callie, how are we doing? Matt, how are you going? Put it in the comment section below, guys.
Books. What are you currently reading? What is in your handbag right now for books?
In my handbag? Many things. What books am I currently reading? Good question. You know what? I went on this 100 books sort of thing last year, where I was trying to read as much as I could, get as much information as I could last year, and have some absolute classics from that. This year I've really been focused more on my business than on the books that I've been reading as such. But the classics that I tend to go back more than anything is Grant Cardone 10X,
100%.
and I really think that that's one of the best books out there for any individual.
On audio, get it on
audio. Yeah,
audio,
agree with that. It's got to be on audio, guys. But it is such a motivating book, and without this sounding like a paid advert, I actually closed. I actually closed a couple of days after reading 10X. I actually closed a $30,000 job, and because the whole book is about 10X level, actually stepping up and being 10 times who you are, 10 times everything, the actions that you take, the momentum that you're going to need to take, the phone calls you're going to need to take, anything and everything is always going to require 10 times what you thought. And when you approach life with that sort of momentum and that gust, it really does put a fire under your belly. And that's what sort of got me to really present myself right, do all the action necessary to close that $30,000 deal. And I was pretty happy with that. It was a $29 audio book, something like that. So well worth it.
Good return then. Good return.
Absolutely. All right.
Oh, questions. Let me have a look.
What was the one above that? You got Isaiah. Yeah, see, one not coming here, but you've got them.
So I'm pinning them up top. There we go.
No.
There was a question.
Good, it really sucks.
That's a question. Any last points you want to throw out there?
Look, I think one of the main things we really want to get across with this live and the conversation obviously here with Jamie today is the fact that we start all talking more about our fears, our excuses, and the habits that we need to set in place to truly grow. And so, one of the key points, I think, if we leave everyone with a question from you, Jamie, as always, to the audience.
Spot. Question.
Becca has joined. Question for the audience to wrap it up.
It's going to be a little bit of a darker question.
Oh, a dark? All right, well, that's always good.
Where can't you be trusted? So for me, I can't be trusted to, I'll just sleep in and do it 2 hours later.
Yeah, okay, I was
No way.
going with that. Yeah,
no way.
Where can't you be trusted?
Where can't you trust yourself? And that comes through trial and error. Everyone's completely different. But just being aware of where you can't trust yourself will highlight how you can remove those obstacles or those problems that keep happening again and again.
Absolutely.
Do you have a question for my
question for you? I think
from you to my audience and Instagram.
I think black belt. Robert's writing some interesting stuff here.
Thank you, Robert.
I think like the biggest thing that I want to start to get across to everyone and really start to grow as a community and as all of us as individuals is, to start to truly tackle our fears and to start to confront them and have the conversations around them. And I want anyone watching this who's obviously got a fear or a setback or something that's holding them back from truly being the best version of themselves to go away and start to think about that. As we said, start to have the conversations, whether it be with friends or family. Record something, whether you ever show it to them, it doesn't matter, but start to speak about it, start to verbalize
Get it out of your head.
Get it out of your head and start to bring it into the world and truly realize that it is something that you can change. And that truly is my hope for all of you watching this today, is that you really truly tackle what is holding you back. We've got one more from Adrian here, which we'll finish up on this, where she says, how do you beat procrastination?
How do you beat it?
How do you beat it?
Cloudy. I find if I'm procrastinating, I don't have clarity on what I should be doing. Like, I might be trying to figure out what I need to be doing as I'm doing it, and that's not the way to complete any task, right? Like, if you were to go into a project and like complete that sort of client job on like without a plan and plan as you go, you're going to get distracted with different ideas and everything. So I find planning like the night before and getting clear on what you need to do and the action items in those to-do lists will eliminate procrastination. And if you do have it, then you don't have clarity on it. Like I think that's what it comes down to, is that you don't have clarity on that.
Good time, Kat. She knows you're alive as well.
No, she doesn't.
No, okay. Adrian, one big thing I would say, and it goes back to our point before, was that, you know, when it comes to procrastination, it truly is being clear on everything that you want to achieve as an individual. And there's so many of these questions that we all start to, we have that just keep popping up, and they're the same questions. We're all thinking the same things, but we don't realise that we are. We're not unique in procrastinating. We're not unique in not truly doing the things that scare us or that we don't want to do. Everyone goes through this. And as Jamie just pointed on, you need to have clear clarity on what it is that you want to achieve as an individual. And you're not always going to know that. And the point is to then just keep moving forward, keep progressing, and keep trying new things. And so with both of those combined, the clarity will appear, and then get clear on those goals. That is truly, it's the best way to put it without giving you a really automated response, is to trial and error to figure out what you need. Once you get clear on that clarity of what's important to you as an individual, then write those goals out every single day so you can grow as an individual, and you won't procrastinate as much as you are currently. All right.
Excellent question to end on.
Fantastic. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Thanks for joining. I'll put Jamie's details, obviously, in the comments below, which everyone, I'm sure, knows Mr. Jamie Stenhouse himself.
And
check him out.
Likewise for you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.